NHL regular season recap, night 141. We kick things off with my favorite game of the night. This one between the Caps and Penguins. I almost went to this game, and I really wish I did because it was an ass beating by Washington. Tom Wilson, shorthanded in the first, 1-0 after one, and then the Caps take over entirely in the second period. Ovechkin with his 18th, Nick Jensen with his first of the year, Hendrix Lapierre with his 6th, and then Ivan Miroshnichenko with his first NHL goal. That alone is a fantastic story. In the third period, Sonny Milano adds a 6th goal because why not? Just dominant from the Capitals. They didn't outshoot the Penguins, but it didn't matter because Charlie Lindgren went 39 for 39 and got the shutout. Meanwhile, Tristan Jarry was not all that great. He gives up 4 on 22 for an .818 save percentage. Nedeljkovic comes in and finishes the job there for the Pens. This, in essence, eliminates the Penguins from the playoffs. It's not mathematically done yet, but they need to go on a hell of a run to make this playoff happen, and they're now without Jay Gensel, so I don't really see that happening. Anything's possible, but love to see the Caps getting this done. It's a massive game for them. They're 5th in the Metro. They're still in the race. The Penguins, meanwhile, struggling quite a bit. So big win for Washington. 6-0 is the final. The Bruins taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs for the second time in the week, and it's the same result. The Bruins win it by a final score of 4-1. David Pastrnak in the first on the power play, and then all the rest of the goals are scored in the second. It's Trent Frederick, Mitch Marner on the power play, Morgan Geekie on the power play, and then Brandon Carlo all wrapping up the scoring. Joseph Wall was not great in this one. He goes 22 for 26, while Jeremy Swayman was quite strong, going 28 for 29 against the Bruins, arguably biggest rival, second biggest rival, maybe the Canadians, I don't know, whatever. Either way, they've been dominating the Leafs this year. It continues to happen this week, 4-1 over a Leafs team that's been a little bit colder lately. The Devils hosting the St. Louis Blues, and it was definitely Timo time in this game. He scores 2 goals in the first period within 2.5 minutes of each other, 13:24 and 16:04 into the frame in the second. Brandon Saad would make it a 2-1 game about halfway through, but about 7 minutes later, it's Timo Meier once again, his 3rd of the game, 17th of the year for the hat-trick effort. No other goals in the third, and then, in the second. In the third, we get an Eric Haula empty netter, and that rounds out the game for us. It's a 4-1 final, a much-needed win for New Jersey. They're definitely not out of it just yet, but they really needed to break the slump that they were in. It finally happens tonight. Nico Hischier with 2 assists, Andre Palat with 2 assists, Nico Dawes, 23 of 24, one of his better performances of late, while Jordan Binnington goes 29 of 32. You cannot blame this game on him. He did everything he could. His team just could not score and didn't really generate a lot of chances. So a big win for the Devils, a tough one for the Blues. These guys are both dogging it out for playoff spots, so we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks, but the Devils win this one 4-1. The Hurricanes taking on the Montreal Canadiens, and this was a big game for the Canes for a few reasons, but largely because they get Freddie Anderson back, and he was very good. He goes 24 for 25 for a .960. Sam Montembeault was also very good, the much busier goalie, going 35 for 38 for a .921. It'd be Roy and Shea in the first period, their 3rd and 9th goals of the year, respectively. Stefan Nason in the second, and then Shea with his 2nd of the game, and Svechnikov with the empty netter. It's a 4-1 final once again in this one. The Canes continue to just roll on. They also have the news of the Jake Gensel signing in this game, so really exciting night for them overall. They'll take this win over a kind of, again, hot and cold Montreal Canadiens team that's been struggling pretty bad lately. 4-1 is the final. The Flyers taking on the Florida Panthers, and not the most anticipated goal scorers in this one. It's Ryan Poehling, Gustav Forsling, and Garnett Hathaway with the only 3 goals of the game. It's not the most eventful game by any means. Both goalies were pretty good. Ersson going 29 for 30, while Sergei Bobrovsky going 24 for 26. Not a crazy amount of shots either. The Flyers needed this one. They're still battling it out for a playoff spot. They get it done over a really, really good Florida team, the best team in the league at the moment, in fact. Just overall a solid win. Not really too much to discuss. Honestly, I didn't get to watch any of this game, so apologies there for Flyers and for Panthers fans, but it's a big win for Philly. 2-1's the final. The Lightning hosting the Calgary Flames, and this one had a lot of playoff implications despite it being a cross-conference game. In the first, it's Hunt and Sheary with their 2nd goals of the season, each making it 1-1 after one. In the second, though, the Flames started cooking. Sharangovich with 2, Pelche with 1, and Sorelli with 1 to round out the period, and it's suddenly 4-2 Flames after 2. In the third, it would be Blake Coleman scoring 6 minutes in to make it 5-2. Andrew Mangiapane scored a very early empty net goal, John Cooper pulling the goalie with over 7 minutes to play, as John Cooper does once in a while, because why not? And it's 6-2. Mikey Asamont would score with about 5.5 to go to make it 6-3, but that was it. All those goals on only 46 shots, because who needs goaltending, right? Markstrom, the better of the two, 19 of 22 for an 864, while Vasi goes 18 for 23 for a 783. Oof. Yeah, this is a big game for the Flames. As far as how this impacts the standings, I know I'm going to spoil the results of some other games here, but Tampa is now the lower of the 2 wildcard seeds, with the Islanders, after their win, which we will talk about, just 2 points back of them. The Caps 5 points back of them. The Devils 7 points back, or 6 points back. So they are not by no means locked into a playoff spot. And then for the Flames, they're suddenly only 6 points back of the lowest wild card seed, which is now Vegas. Calgary 67 points, Vegas with 73. This is a massive game for both of these teams, one in a good way, one in a bad way. It's 6-3 for Calgary is the final. The Blue Jackets hosting the Edmonton Oilers, and this is one of those games where you're just like in the dog days of the season, trade deadlines here, like you're playing a bad team. An egg gets laid here by Edmonton. Olivier, Nylander, and Voronkov all scoring in the first. Zach Hyman would score in the second to make it 3-1, his 43rd of the year, by the way. Corey Perry in the third would make it a one-goal game, but Jack Roslovic scores the empty netter with 20 seconds to go, and the Blue Jackets defeat the Edmonton Oilers. Well done. Calvin Pickard, 30 of 33. Daniil Tarasov, 29 of 32, a pretty solid showing from him. Again, these games happen, especially this time of year. Everyone's tired. Everyone's gearing up for the playoffs. The Oilers are going to make the playoffs, no problem. This game's kind of just like a blip in their season, so understandable that they lose it. Obviously, you'd like to see them beat the Blue Jackets, as they are not a good team, but again, eggs get laid once in a while. Tonight's one of them. 4-2 Columbus over Edmonton. The Predators taking on the Buffalo Sabres in the first appearance as a Sabre for Bo Byram, and he did get on the board tonight, but it was Philip Forsberg who carried the boats here for the Preds. He scores once in the first and twice in the second for a hat-trick, his 31st, 32nd, and 33rd of the year. Luke Evangelista would get the other goal for the Preds. Gus Nyquist with 3 assists. Again, Bo Byram for the Sabres scoring their first goal, and Owen Power from Owen Byram getting the second, so a good debut for Bo. The goaltending obviously goes in favor here of the Preds. Saros goes 26 for 28, while Eric Comridis goes 20 for 24, so not his best showing. But the Preds just keep on rolling. Again, as I mentioned in the last game, they're now 2 points ahead of Vegas. They're in the first wildcard spot, Vegas in the second one. How that has suddenly happened, kind of baffling, but here we are. I don't see them catching up to any of the divisional guys in Colorado, Winnipeg, or Dallas. They're still like 8 points back of them, and those teams are just, I think, on a different tier than Nashville, but who knows? They've been playing very well as of late. I don't see them making any real sell-offs, the likes of UC Saros. There was some rumors about Roman Josi, which was just never going to happen. Stuff like that. I don't see them selling any of their big assets. They're going to make a playoff push. They're probably going to find a way to make it in, and we'll see what happens from there. They got juice, so anything's possible. 4-2 here over Buffalo is the final. The Wild taking on the Arizona Coyotes, and the Wild took a bit to get going here, but once they did, they started going big time. Kaprizov scores the first goal of the game in the second period. Keller and Carconi would both score to start the third, about a minute and a half in, and from there, it's pretty much all Wild. Zach Bogosian, Joel Eriksson, Brock Faber, and Connor Dewar all scoring here for Minnesota, and it's a 5-2 win, one they needed pretty badly. They are a point behind all of St. Louis, Seattle, and Calgary in this playoff race, and of course that puts them 7 points behind the second wild card spot, Vegas Golden Knights. Eriksson with a goal and an assist, Faber a goal and an assist, Zuccarello with 3 assists, Marc-Andre Fleury 23 of 25, while Karel Vejmelka goes 23 of 26. Just not quite good enough. The score's a bit inflated because of the empty netters, but again, the Wild will take it. They needed the points quite badly. 5-2 is the final here. They will see if they can keep it up tonight against a very strong Avalanche team. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, and again, this Golden Knights team suddenly potentially at risk for missing the playoffs. Quinn Hughes and Phil DiGiuseppe scoring in the first, and then in the second, it's Michael Amadio and Connor Garland from Elias Lindholm, excuse me. Good to see him get on the board. Of course, there's been the rumors surrounding him getting traded. I don't see that happening before 3 p.m. today either as well. But this is a big win for the Canucks, a confidence booster. They had been a little bit hot and cold as of late. They get this done over a team that's supposed to be very good. Thatcher Demko kind of leading the way here, 27 of 28, while Adin Hill goes 32 of 35. That is Thatcher Demko's Vezina. Thank you very much. A 964 for him, while Hill puts up a 914. For Vegas, they got to figure it out. I know they got some injuries, but they're making all these trades. They got Hannafin, they got Mantha, Jack Eichel's back, Shea Theodore's back. They have more than enough pieces to make the playoffs without their captain, but they got to pick it up. Teams like Calgary, teams like Seattle, teams like Minnesota have all been playing quite good lately, and with 20 games to go, they are more than capable of catching up to Vegas, so they got to figure it out. They can't be losing these tight games. They got to at least drag a point out of it, but not capable of doing that tonight. 3-1 Vancouver is the final over Vegas. The Islanders taking on the Sharks, and are we really surprised that a team chasing down a playoff spot beat the ever-living crap out of San Jose? No, we're not. Noah Dobson and Alex Romanov in the first. Bordelot would make it 2-1. Bo Horvat makes it 3-1. Mike Hoffman makes it 3-2. And then the Islanders just say, get the hell out of here. McLean, Barzell, and Aho all scoring in the third period. Anders Lee adds another one. It's a 7-2 final here for the guys in orange, or I guess in white. They were in San Jose tonight. Bo Horvat, a goal and 2 assists. Brock Nelson, 3 assists. Sorokin, 23 of 25. And suddenly this team's won like 5 games in a row and are just 2 points back of the final wild card spot in the East. So I really don't want to see them make the playoffs, to be honest. I think they're just incredibly boring to watch. But, you know, knowing these guys, they're going to find a way to just make it and then get knocked out in the first round again. We'll see what happens there. But a win you need to have over a Sharks team that's not good. They're even more depleted with the number of trades that have been made lately. Magnus Krona in net, so it's another guy you know you can score goals on. He gives up 7 on 33, while Sorokin gives up just the 2 on 25. To win the Islanders got to have 10 out of 10 times, and they get it done. 7-2, here's the final. The final game of the night, the Kings hosting Ottawa, and again, the Kings finding a way to stay alive in this playoff race. They now leapfrog Vegas. They are in the divisional spot, and Vegas, of all teams, is in the wild card spot. They get it done in overtime tonight. Dom Kubalik scoring the first goals. Quentin Byfield and Brady Tkachuk trading in the second, and then Dubois Moverer, I think, with his first NHL goal. Congratulations. And Drake Batherson all scoring in the third to force OT. And then in the overtime, one of the more, like, ridiculous individual efforts we've seen, Kevin Fiala just, like, leans down and says, "You will not stop me." And Ottawa, like, chooses not to play defense. Jonas Korpisalo can't stop the beach ball that gets thrown at him. And the Kings win 4-3. Again, just a ridiculous effort from Fiala in this one. Korpisalo not good enough, 31 of 35, but what else is new? Cam Talbot, 28 of 31. That's not fantastic, but it is good enough for the win, and the Kings will certainly take it. So that's going to be it for NHL regular season recap night 141. Just 4 games today on the trade deadline, so we will cover those. I'm going to try to do like a trade deadline recap video. We'll have the power rankings tomorrow, so it's going to be a busy day of content. Stick around for it all. We'll talk to you guys soon.